Hey guys, it's Elon from Inside Fighting, and one of my favorite things to do on this channel is celebrate different martial arts from different cultures. And today I have a really obscure one from Canada, of all places, the Indigenous martial art of Okichita.
Pow pow, inside fighting, yeah, dangerous martial arts. Pow pow, ooh ah.
Hey guys, as you know, I've been developing a collagen peptide for over a year now that's helped me tremendously with my health. We worked with an amazing American lab. We developed an amino acid profile that is exceptional for your bones, joints, and connective tissue. It will really support them. As you guys know, there's been situations where I've needed surgery, like right now, the bucket handle meniscus tear, which resolved without surgery, despite what doctors told me. So I'm telling you, there are paths using things like supplementation, things like this collagen peptide that can help you feel better. So if you're suffering from chronic illness, chronic pain, and you want something that may be able to help you feel better, because man, I know what that is. I know what it's like to not be able to do the things you love. And it really affects you mentally, not just physically. People don't see it. So check it out, nomanlabs.com. It's a good product. I stand behind it. And I'm doing 50% off right now. Inside Fighting 50 is the discount code. And again, this isn't a sponsorship. This is something me and my buddy developed because of everything I've gone through with my health. Like I said, we worked with an amazing American lab, and it's a product we believe in. So check it out, nomanlabs.com. All right, so let's talk about this system a little bit. Okichita. It comes from the Cree tribe, and it's mostly focused on by Chief George Lapine, I believe is how you say his last name. And again, it's a hard martial art to find anywhere outside of Toronto. I'm sure there's a few schools maybe across Canada, but that would be it. So it's a very unique system in the sense that you can't find it anywhere. And so let's just look at some of the things that actually do make it unique, because there are some legit things here, like the Tomahawk. This is their primary weapon. I'll fast forward a little bit for you guys to see here. But you don't see many other systems training with Tomahawks. And I actually think Tomahawks are a very cool weapon, like mini axes. Number one, you can buy very tactical, compact Tomahawks nowadays, or compact axes, and they're highly effective. You could fit them in a bag. They don't take up a lot of space. And they're, again, just an all-purpose tool that also is a great self-defense tool. But beyond that, what I will say is it's easily translatable into a non-lethal tool, like a short stick, or even a hammer if you were having, which would be lethal. I'm just giving an example of another weapon. If you hit someone in the head with a hammer, they're going to die. But it's a very similar form factor. And I would think you could come up with modified versions of this or other tools around your house that would simulate the training. So they don't only train to attack with it, they also train to disarm with it. One thing I'll say about weapons, and this is not to criticize anyone, whenever you disarm a weapon in training, don't give it back to the person you just disarmed. You have two options: either attack them with it or put it on the ground for them to pick up. And I'll tell you why. There's a situation with a cop who disarms a guy who had a gun, and then he instinctively throws it back at the guy because that's how he's been training his entire life. And so how you train in the gym is how you'll train in the streets under stress. And that's a perfect example of it. So when it comes to weapon training, I'm a huge advocate of do not hand the weapon back after the disarm. Disarm it, either attack right away or make the conscious decision to stop training, put it on the ground, and make them pick it up. Because at least then you're programming yourself not to hand a weapon you just took back. Either way, the Tomahawk. Again, I like systems that focus on things I can't find anywhere else. Now, the movements you're going to learn with the Tomahawk are going to be very similar to movements you'll learn with a knife, with a stick. All weapons have two categories. They're either going to be impact-based weapons, meaning they're blunt, like a stick, or they're going to be bladed weapons. Those are the two categories outside of projectile weapons. Now, on that note, I do think there's a lot of overlap between the two, but what they do is they treat every weapon that they carry also as a projectile weapon, which is very rare in martial arts. In other words, there's a lot of videos of them not only attacking in close quarter with the Tomahawk, but also throwing it with incredible accuracy at far range. And so in Filipino martial arts, we very rarely did knife throwing. In other knife systems, you very rarely see knife throwing because people say you're giving away your weapon. But for their purposes, if you were thinking about this as a warrior system and they had multiple tomahawks on them, tribal fighting, whatever it may be, you can take out an enemy from far away as he's running at you and then take out another tomahawk and keep fighting with it. The idea of being able to use every weapon as a projectile is extremely effective. Again, in terms of like the technique, what I will say is these are like standard disarms you'll see in other systems, but there's nothing wrong with that. I think the human body only moves so many ways. What I'm trying to highlight here is a celebration of a system that has cultural significance. That was nice. That was kind of interesting right there. They have a lot of stuff that's different also, like I'll show you over here. In terms of like how you don't see that a lot, like that kind of movement, right? Like he has the knife in his hand. You were thinking this is a ground fight, but no, these are people who are treating it like a actual urban war where they're rolling on the ground with the knife and they're looking at attacking in unique ways and think about the environment. Again, I always say think about the environment. If you think about this historically, you weren't fighting in like densely populated regions with buildings. You were fighting on ground, like dirt and stuff like that. And so being able to be low in shrub or whatever it is and rolling around in it and then being able to stab people makes sense as a training philosophy. This is Chief George Lapine, by the way. Again, hopefully I get to train with these people in Toronto when I go visit soon. I'm going to be spending the summer there. I'm going to be reaching out to them and hopefully I can shoot a video with them. Hopefully they see this video and they're cool with it. So again, it's primarily a weapons-based system. They used, from what I saw, 3 primary weapons. The Tomahawk, super cool. The knife, which you can find in other systems, more common. But again, they have their kind of own approach to knife fighting and knife disarming. And the lance, which is pretty much like a spear, which is, again, a great weapon that you don't see taught in a lot of systems. And I love long-range weapons. It's when I gained the appreciation was when I was in Portugal and I went to the northern village there to play some jogo do pau, which was, long stick fighting, bow fighting, which is amazing. So they have something very similar called the lance. But again, it's a very, just my initial impression of this system, close quarter ambush system, inside fighting system. Shout out to my own channel. But very close quarter combat. And if you're at range, like I said previously, they'll use the weapon as a projectile. So it's one or the other. They don't seem to want to stay at kind of what you would consider far striking range or far weapon range. They want to close in on you, cut you up, damage you, and take you down. And what I like here, again, is this is real resistive training with a knife. They're actually, again, people always say, like, show me it applied with resistant fighting. They're actually doing that. And not many systems will teach you ground fighting with weapons. It's just hard to find schools that do that kind of thing. Resistant ground fighting with weapons is a rare quality. I don't care what people say. People are going to come on and say, well, we do it in my system. That's great. But most schools, if you were to go to 90% of martial arts schools in America, more, 98, 99% of martial arts schools will not teach you to grapple with a knife against a resisting opponent. It's just maybe Krav Maga schools do it, maybe real combative schools, but definitely not traditional martial arts with like a history like this. It's pretty rare. So, and they have this whole other ceremonial aspect. They have a cultural aspect, which I think is beautiful. And again, here you see and this is interesting. Look, they're always controlling the arms to avoid getting hit. It's always saying get wrist control. And they start from this unique position of like wrist and wrist. So striking kind of is out of play from the start. This is something that in combat sports is acknowledged, but very rarely acknowledged in sport. Well, combat sports. I mean, combat sports with striking, but very rarely acknowledged in combat sports where striking isn't allowed, like pure grappling systems. And I said this previously, they're always trying to get you down to the ground and either disarm you or control you. Now, I wonder if that is just because of the nature of how tribes used to fight each other. They used to often fight against people who had more advanced weaponry, let's say, and they would have to close in, get past guns, whatever it may be, to be able to take you down and control you. So that might be part of the history. I might be completely wrong. And here again, pure Tomahawk class. Guys, this is cool. Really hoping I get to go there and just fight with a Tomahawk and some knives on the ground and do this kind of stuff. Hopefully my knee's healed by that point fully. By the way, guys, I did SCP, which is kind of like at a place called Regenix just like 5 days ago, which is super dosing PRP. It's like PRP, but 30 injections, and they take 5 times more blood. And it is badass, but it definitely makes your leg sore after you do it. So hopefully my leg recovers by that point. And, we'll watch this last video here and we'll go from there. I have a couple other videos actually I'm going to show you. So what I will say about him, he's actually the Chief George Lapine. He's actually very agile. And again, you're not going to convince me that opening there was not effective in terms of reality-based combat. Let's just look at some of the techniques one more time. Like environmental stuff like that too. But look, this to me looks effective. I don't care what people say. Got behind the guy, started choking him out. Takedowns, resistant training, into strikes. Anyway, I'm going to show just here. It's like a little walkthrough of what you just saw. They're explaining the technique. So you see they clear the arm, they get behind. They're always trying to go behind. That is a consistent theme with this system. Look, he'll always step behind the guy. And this is stuff you'll see in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, Kempo, all these systems. So as my student says, David, that there is no Canadian geometry, that all body mechanics are body mechanics. It doesn't matter what martial art it is. And look at this tomahawk throw. Do you guys see that? Did you miss that? He actually lands it. Bam. Look at that. Look at that accuracy. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want to fight someone who could throw a knife at me like that from that distance. I am not going to get close to you. And I'm also not going to get far away from you because you'll just throw the knife at me and kill me, which would suck. So again, guys, I really hope you enjoy this. Again, I'm showing this one more as a celebration of the culture. Man, got some sneaky, weird techniques and body mechanics that you just don't see very often. And even so like when I'm using a knife, what I will say is a knife isn't weighted at the end. You see how the tomahawk, the tomahawk is heavier at the end. It changes the way you move with it. That was kind of slick too. But tell me where else you're going to learn how to do this kind of stuff. Tell me that's not cool. And if you tell me that's not cool, I don't believe you. So don't even tell me. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's the system. I just wanted to showcase it. I hope you liked the video. Let me know your thoughts below. Like and subscribe. And if you know of any other indigenous martial arts, and what I mean by indigenous, not like there's people indigenous to every part of the world. I mean like Native American, Native Canadian martial arts. Or even my girlfriend's Taino. So even Native Taino would be interesting. Let me know.